The American New Wave, or New Hollywood, was a period of time from the mid-60s to the early 80s when the prominent film studios fell into obscurity and a wave of new, mostly young filmmakers came to prominence.
Myself now, I'm a kind of hustler.
The American New Wave was heavily influenced and even brought on by the French New Wave and other European film trends. In France, after the Second World War, films continued to be made in the same way as before, with editors having to conform to the established rules. This sparked a group of critics to challenge the rules and proceeded to create their own films. The result of this movement shaped the way American directors approached their films and the mentality that they took when it came to making a film in a creative way. These filmmakers had heavy influence over the way films were made and also the types of issues and themes that they tackled. The films were often low-budget B-films as the directors didn't have the huge budgets from studios to back them, and a lot of characteristics of the American New Wave style was born out of this lack of funding. Examples of this are the use of regular people instead of professional actors, handheld camera shots, and shooting on location rather than the big purpose-made studios previously filmed at. In 1948, the United States versus Paramount case not only outlawed the big studios from block booking their films, but it also forced them to sell their self-owned movie theatres. The result of this was that the studios, no longer able to dump a whole year's worth of movies on theatres, now had to be far more selective in what they did produce. This led to an increase in their production values and budgets of Hollywood motion pictures, and a decrease in the number that they made. This also gave more freedom to independent filmmakers and smaller studios, as they could distribute their product with much less interference by the majors. The combination of both the fall of the studio system and the inspiration taken from the other new waves led to the American New Wave. One of the pivotal first films in the new wave was Bonnie and Clyde, a story about a small-time crook called Clyde, winding up with a dissatisfied small-town girl Bonnie. The pair become partners in crime, and soon they're pulling off full-fledged crimes such as bank robberies.
I'm trying you.
The film was highly violent and didn't shy away from showing graphic content. The film is perhaps best known for its ending scene where Bonnie and Clyde are shot and the camera shows the action for a significant amount of time. The scene was dubbed one of the bloodiest death scenes in Hollywood history. The film also broke new ground in that it showed taboo subjects that were rarely shown on film, such as sex and nudity. The film was strongly influenced by the French New Wave directors, both in its rapid shifts of tone and in its choppy editing, which is particularly noticeable in the film's closing sequence.
Right down the fucking toilet.
Midnight Cowboy is another film that covered taboo subjects that were not previously explored. For example, the leading character Joe moves to New York with hopes of becoming a male prostitute, as he is convinced of his appeal to women. Previously, directors wouldn't have dared show prostitution, let alone male prostitution, from fear of bad ratings and a domestic failure. The film also shows the other leading man, Ratso, as his health starts to deteriorate as he becomes unable to walk or even control his bladder. The film shows this in quite a head-on way and doesn't try to cover up his sweaty, uncontrollable state, especially when he gets worse towards the end of the film.
We rob banks.
Drugs were subjects shown in the film too, with Joe smoking a joint and taking an unknown pill, which leads to him hallucinating.
Here I am going to Florida, my leg hurts, my butt hurts, my chest hurts, my face hurts.
It's these sensitive and non-discussed subjects that the films explored that was brand new to American cinema, and it opened up a whole new field of possibilities when it came to the director expressing themselves and creating a story that didn't follow the same copy-paste formula over the past few decades. Taxi Driver, directed by Martin Scorsese, is often ranked amongst the best films ever created. This is in part due to the themes it tackles, such as insomnia, obsession, guardianship, loneliness, depression and child prostitution. The film was praised for how relentless it is in showing the hell of Travis's life. The viewer doesn't feel for him, but doesn't hate him. As Roger Ebert said, Martin Scorsese wanted to look away from Travis's rejection. We almost want to look away from his life. But he's there alright, and he's suffering, and it's that level of submersion into a hell of a life that would not have been possible with the restraints and limitations of cinema before the New Wave.